The Epstein Files aren't just dominating headlines, they are hijacking your nervous system. In fact, the constant exposure to any of this, the chaos, the outrage, the disturbing content that you're seeing on social media, it's spiking your stress hormones and it is rewiring your dopamine response. And it's showing up in your cravings and your binge eating. I spent 13 years at the FBI and I saw firsthand what this level of exposure does to the brain. Today, I am going to break down the psychology behind how this works and how you can still stay informed, but without getting sucked into the drama or stress eating an entire sleeve of cookies. We are on the tail end of a huge media and social media cycle regarding the Epstein files. This episode was created to address this specific event. But I guarantee you, this second this episode is live, it is going to be something completely different that is front and center, that's begging for our attention. That being said, I want you to watch this episode through the lens of what's going on in the world right now at this exact time. So I am going to talk about it specific to the Epstein files, but I want you to think about it from that perspective of whatever the current drama du jour is going on in the world. And I have a unique perspective on this topic and from lived experience. And that's what I want to share with you today. I spent 13 years at the FBI. My career started in Quantico and I ended at headquarters. And I worked predominantly national security issues, from counterterrorism to weapons of mass destruction to being promoted to a chief of staff in counterintelligence. I want you to remember what life was like in the earlier 2000s before social media. The general public watched the news on TV. And when they watched the news, they'd get a headline. And they would get a summary of the story. And the clips that they showed on the news, they were more or less family friendly and appropriate for TV. But behind the scenes, I dealt with the issues that everyone saw on the news. And I dealt with them behind the scenes at the FBI. I saw things that haunted me. I saw things that shattered my innocence. They kept me up at night. And because of that, and I didn't even realize it at the time, but because of that, my nervous system was just fried. And I was witnessing on a daily basis, I was witnessing this level of hatred and depravity that humans had for other humans. And I believed no one should have to witness that. Some of the assignments that I had, they were pretty horrible dealing with some of this stuff. And fortunately, most of them weren't so bad. But the ones that were that bad, they stuck with me. Even though I wasn't an agent, this is still the job that you sign up to do. And I gladly did it as my own little way to serve my country and to help keep our citizens safe. Fast forward to a few weeks ago when the Epstein files were released, and the images and the emails, they flooded social media. And all I could think about was how the average person has seen more disturbing images in just 5 minutes of doom scrolling on social media than I did my entire time at the FBI. I know firsthand what this kind of exposure, what it did for me. And now I feel like we're just handing out this level of exposure like it's candy at Halloween. And it breaks my heart for several reasons. First is that everyone is screaming for transparency, but I don't think they actually understand what viewing these images and these emails, what it does to their nervous system. Is it important to stay informed? Yes, of course. But I believe there is a huge difference between being informed and being bombarded. Your brain can't tell the difference. It does not understand the difference between being chased by the saber-toothed tiger or what you see scrolling on social media. Second is that the more people view this content, the more they even comment on it, have conversations about it, the more they make it a part of their lives, the more normalized it becomes to just immerse themselves in this filth of humanity. When you take a step back and ask yourself honestly, do you really want to marinate in this? Or are there more important things that you have immediate control over that bring you joy, like your family or your career or your community or the stuff that you volunteer for or your church or your friends? Third, and this one ties into emotional eating, is that the more they scroll, the more they consume this kind of content, the more emotional they get. And the more that feeds their dopamine. And then when the scrolling, when the consumption stops, your brain is still screaming for the dopamine. Your brain wants the dopamine. And there's a gap, and your brain needs to close that gap. And comfort food is the fastest, quickest, and easiest way to close that dopamine gap. And here's the hard truth. When your external world is in chaos, your internal world is in chaos. And for some people, that chaos is even more addictive than the food that they use to numb themselves from the chaos. Our nervous system is not designed to operate in an emotional, chaotic state 24/7. Our nervous system is not designed to see these constant disturbing images and content. Yet, here we are. By the way, if you are getting any value out of this video, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up and subscribe button. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Holly, I'm kind of getting it, but what does this have to do with me and emotional eating? We talk about food consumption all the time, but it's also important to understand big C consumption, what you consume, the people you hang out with, your own thoughts, and yes, the news and social media. And right now, this is just Holly Bertone's opinion. Right now, I don't believe that the media landscape and social media, they aren't reporting the news. There's two sides reporting this tornado of hatred and fear and screaming and yelling to get the yelling the loudest to get the most attention on both sides. Let me ask you this. If a friend said that her husband was constantly yelling at her and showing her disturbing images, stirring up drama and chaos and fear, do you think this is an appropriate marriage? If she were to ask your advice, what would you tell her to do? My friend, we are in a marriage with our thoughts, with our thoughts and our hearts. How many minutes, how many hours a day are you scrolling? Are you consuming this kind of chaos? And then more importantly, how do you feel after you're scrolling? Are you calm? Are you centered? Are you ready to go be a loving and productive member of your family and your career and society? Or do you just feel completely drained? You just want to plop in front of the TV with a pint of ice cream and doom scroll some more? Have you ever stopped to notice how much time you spend in this kind of consumption and the effect that it has on your food choices? And if it's not bothering you, that's totally fine. Go ahead and end this episode. But for most people, what most people don't realize is that the distraction creates chaos. Chaos creates stress. And that stress is what spills over into your health and including what you eat. Chaos is the gateway drug. When your external world is chaos, your internal world is chaos. Your brain seeks comfort, and comfort food is your brain's predictable choice. It gives your brain that quick, fast, predictable dopamine. Now, here's where it starts to get kind of meta, is that the more you pair comfort food with the chaos, you're imprinting into your brain that this pattern that chaos is safe. Chaos equals comfort food. Chaos makes me feel good. And for some people, they grew up in chaos. So that's all that they've ever known. Being peaceful, being quiet, having calm in their body, having calm in their thoughts, having calm in their hearts and that peace in their hearts, that is unfamiliar to them. So they are going to actually seek out the drama. And not only that, when they are living in a state of chaos, their cortisol, their adrenaline spikes. And then what they do is they find themselves in this low grade fatigue. And when they have this low grade fatigue, they have lower impulse control. They're operating from the emotional and reactive part of their brain rather than the slow and logical part of their brain. And when you're operating from the emotional and automatic and reactive part of your brain, emotional eating and binge eating, it's just going to happen. It's the only thing that's going to happen. All right, let's put it this way. If you are driving down the street and you see a dumpster fire, you may slow down. You may take note. You may say, hey, that's interesting. There's a dumpster fire. But you're probably going to keep moving on. You probably aren't going to stop the car, get out of the car, and then go jump into the fire. That is the difference between being informed and being immersed. And if you're wondering, okay, Holly, I want to stay informed. So how can I stay informed with what's going on and the current news, but not wreck my nervous system in the process? When you jump into consuming social media, I want you to ask yourself, just take that pause and ask yourself, what does my nervous system feel right now? Am I being reactive or am I being effective? Would I willingly show this to my 8-year-old self? And I want you to sit and I want you to really be present with your answers. And if your answers are like, yeah, I'm fine. I just want to go get the news and see what's going on, go do it. But if your answers are a little more confronting than you expected, here's your game plan. For the next 7 days, be a scientist. Just be a scientist, take that step back and track your own behavior. The data does not lie. So track the amount of time, and I know our phones do this for us, so track the amount of time that you're actually on your phone or on social media or consuming this type of content. Track how much chaotic content you consume. And then track your sugar cravings or your cravings for comfort food. Do they spike? And again, just you can totally track this pattern yourself. This is what I help my students and my clients do. Remember when I said for some people, the chaos is more addictive than food? So when you say that you want that peace and that calm, do you actively create peace? Or are you unconsciously seeking stimulation? And I know for so many women that have this go, go, go mentality, the second they sit down to relax, it's like they're doing something wrong. It's like they have to be on the go. It's like they have this guilty feeling or this feeling of being lazy because they're just sitting and resting or relaxing. And they start to crave that stimulation. So I want you to just be aware of that difference. And that's your game plan. Now, I know this episode was a little heavy, so I want to close on a positive note. And that is, we cannot control what goes on in the world. And it has been proven in the past few years, it seems like every single week there is a different headline that's screaming for your attention. But you can control what you consume. You can control what you allow into your nervous system. And if you want to stop obsessing over food, you might need to just stop obsessing over the external chaos in your life first. And if you want to live in a world where the binge eating and the sugar cravings don't even exist, if you know that it doesn't matter how healthy you eat all day, it is game over at 9 o'clock at night. If you're tired of the comfort food and the cravings ruling your day, then I invite you to steal the exact 5-step FBI inspired method that's helped hundreds of women eliminate cravings and quit sugar without deprivation or willpower. This is the dark psychology secret behind how some women can eat just one cookie and effortlessly put the rest away, and while you're over here still devouring the entire slate. It is just $27 to join, and you get lifetime access. I'll leave the link in the show notes for you. So thanks for tuning in. I'm Holly Bertone, and this is Weight Loss Forensics.